my brand really originated just because I was getting kind of sick and tired of just hearing the negative stories about roofers, people in my industry that had taken advantage of other people. Over the course of my earlier years, I was just little old ladies that have been taken for a ride. Their insurance money taken, or they think that they got this great roof, and then you get up there and it's like put together with bubble gum and tape. And so I started doing these videos where I would call out what I call the janky roofer, which is essentially just some guy that's going to come in, roll into town, do a bunch of, nonsense, either take money or do shoddy work and then keep it moving. Kind of like the guys that you risk, when you're hiring them off Facebook Marketplace. It could be good, but they could be bad too. And, that's just a risk you take. But, that's really where that started. And, honestly, the name was started off as kind of a joke. I can't even remember exactly who it was that said that, but it was like something ologist. And I was like, wait. And so I kind of ran with it. And initially it was a joke. And then I was doing at the time I was doing a bunch of work with realtors, and I would do these networking events, and, they would see me, hey, my name's Mike, I'm your roofologist, da, 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 da. And they're like, man, I love it. I'm like, okay, well, this is kind of one of those things where it started off as kind of like a ha-ha funny moment, and it turned into a brand because I was just backing it up with, educational content, or, as educational as I could, basically showcasing the good, bad, and the ugly.
Okay. So what has been the impact of your brand so far?
So yeah, people, my phone rings now. I don't have to do near as much outbound stuff. Of course, I've been in the business for long enough. I really shouldn't have to do a bunch of outbound stuff now. And this is what, the kind of what I tell my guys. I'm like, hey, get into video. Obviously, when you first get in the business, it's door knocking, it's networking, B2B networking, it's, building a referral base, getting with referral partners, doing social media. But I said, look, the long-term goal here is to have people call you because you're a trusted name that they can rely upon. And so that's where I'm trying to get my guys. I have some of my guys that are picking up some traction doing that, but I've got some new guys, and some new guys. And so we're starting from the ground up. But yeah, ultimately, I tell my guys, make sure, like I said previously, have something to say, and be consistent, 2 to 3 times a week, post something roofing related. I'm not saying you got to dump on your feed all things roofing all the time. I post stuff about my family. I post stuff about, whatever we're doing, because that brings a human element to it. It's not like I'm trying to drive something down your throat all the time, like roofing. Hey, look, man, I'm a person. I'm a dad, I'm a proud father. I work alongside my wife. She's my best friend. I love it. And I want people to know who I am outside of just this roofologist, persona.
And I agree. And I feel that a brand is like someone, a homeowner, picks you. They say that I want to work with this roofer instead of any other roofer. And if you offer them something, you have a group of people who raise their hands and they say that I want this, and you deliver value to them. And if you have that bunch of people, I think you have a brand as well.
Yeah, for sure. I think everybody in the industry now, or a lot of people, not everybody, but a lot of people are striving to kind of create that. I'm seeing more and more educational style videos, which I'm all about. At the end of the day, I have an abundance mentality, so I'm not like, oh, look at this guy, he's doing a similar content as me. I don't care about any of that, because at the end of the day, I think that the people that are showing their work are just generally speaking more trustworthy to the clients. And if they're offering value, well, then that's only a net positive, especially with me being so active in RCAT. There's no licensing or registration in Texas at all. There's a voluntary license through RCAT, but ultimately what this means is that you can kind of do whatever you want and close down your business and reopen another business with a new name for $50 roundabout, with no insurance requirement or anything like that. So it's kind of a scary thought when you think about it. In my state, people that cut hair, do nails, all that stuff have to be licensed, and those things grow back. It's kind of wild to me. But as vice president of RCAT, we've pushed for an actual license to be implemented, because we feel that the trade is important enough to warrant that. I don't necessarily, I'm the type of guy, I don't necessarily want the government in my business, but I'm also a realist in that continuing down the same road that we've been down, where people are consistently getting screwed over, having their money taken, having shoddy work done on their homes, the move is not to do nothing. It's to find some sort of avenue that works. And obviously the people that are opposed to any sort of licensing are the same guys that have the crap reviews, and they just want to, hey, I want to do the status quo. I don't want any kind of regulation because that would prevent me from screwing around people and doing shoddy work, and then I would be held accountable. So the people that don't want the license are the same people that don't want the accountability. And so it's, it is what it is. It's kind of one of those things where I am confident that eventually here in Texas there will be an implemented license, and I welcome it. I'm not trying to keep anybody out of business. I'm not trying to create such a barrier of entry that that business that entrepreneurship is stifled. But I'm also like, hey, the move is not to do nothing, and sit around like, well, I guess we just shouldn't do anything. 40 some odd states in the United States have some sort of roofing license, and we over here in Texas, big old Lone Star State, we're like, nah, we don't need all that. We just let our people get screwed over. Like, so, I'm definitely passionate about that. I talk to roofers all the time that are in opposition, either pro and against. And, we have some great conversations. Some of these guys are good buddies of mine, and they're just like, well, I'm not really on board with it because of this. And no organization like this is going to be perfect, Yes. But at the end of the day, our heart's in the right place, and we genuinely want to do the right thing by not just our contractor base, but by the homeowners. We want to help educate the homeowners on like what this looks like, because I can't tell you how many times I've run into homeowners and they're like, what do you mean there's no license? I'm like, yeah, there's no license. I mean, the pizza delivery guy from last week that was dropping off your Domino's pizza, yeah, he could very well be a roofing company owner this week.